Hello, everyone. This is Dana from Dev Device. And today on my podcast here, I have a very special guest. His name is Riad Hechame. Welcome to the podcast, Riad.
Thank you, Dano. An honor for me to be on your podcast.
Yeah, we had a little bit of technical issues here, fixing the microphone and all, but I think now we're good. Yeah.
Yeah, as
Yeah, I
always,
mean, yeah, Riad, tell
technology.
us. Yeah, technology can be a bit of a problem sometimes. But first of all, I would like to, our audience to learn about you, what you're doing today. I mean, we have been on a long journey together. You are running Peak Human Performance. Tell me about your performance clinic.
Okay, peak human performance, I would say it's a unique facility with the main focus to help clients to achieve their best version. We look into improving sleep. We look into improving stress management. We use preventive approach to nutrition, and we physically train our clients to become physically stronger, which reflects as well in overall health, well-being, mental strength, mental well-being, etc. Yeah,
Yeah,
that's
yeah.
in a nutshell.
In a nutshell, I wish you could flip your camera right now so people could actually see the amazing gym, the private gym that where you're sitting in right now. I mean, I've been there a few times, and
Yeah.
it's a huge, luxurious gym. It's a private gym, and I know you don't like to call it gym because it's not simply a gym. It's not where people come and do dumbbell stuff. It's something where you take individual clients like privately in a private session, and you do like personal training with them, and it's not a gym. It's a performance clinic, but yeah, it has all the facilities, right, that you need to do all this resistance training, which you say is so much more helpful than cardio, which I saw in a post of yours on LinkedIn today where you're giving the 7 tips.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's not it's not just an office. It's actually a fully equipped private gym, I would say, right?
Yes, correct. Okay, so my approach when I started thinking about coaching, and when I was, let's say, trying the knowledge I have learned from my mentors, I saw we cannot achieve the best performance possible if we don't work holistically. So just focusing on training when we, for example, want to lose weight or become stronger, it's not the right approach. So we should not go or think about training if, for example, sleep is compromised, if
Yeah.
blood work is not optimal. And so on and so forth. So having an approach which is holistic and looking to, let's say, the main performance parameters, the main health markers, as for example, sleep, as for example, inflammation levels, are for example, insulin sensitivity, hormonal balance, neurotransmitter balance, and so on and so forth. So we will just miss the point and we'll miss the whole journey. And it's really a journey. So when people embark on a transformation, health transformation with us, so we try to understand from them everything, how their lifestyles are, again, sleep, stress management, nutrition, their social field, etc. So we want to really understand what now their weak links are, and by identifying the weak links and working on the weak links, that's where we see the most of reward. Of course, now if you will come in here in this space, you will see beautiful equipment, very special equipment, equipment maybe not many people have seen. However, again, so we don't like to thin our work just on training. So I think the way of coaching for the future, even more post-COVID, is a way which needs to be holistic and taking care about much more than just physical training. Unfortunately, I cannot turn the camera because otherwise all the cables
Yeah, I know.
and then we will need
I
to
know.
restart again from
All
scratch.
right. Okay. Now,
Sorry,
yeah, we
I
might
would
do
have
some
loved to.
editing. Yeah, sure. Yeah, I mean, I'm sure there are ways to share like the interior of your gym, like in maybe in an insert or on. We will, of course, we will share a link to your website
Yeah,
and all
yeah.
your online presence so people can look it up.
Thank you.
And yeah, I really appreciate your holistic approach. And it kind of also resonates with what we do in our marketing strategy. We want to look at the big picture, right? We want to identify the flat tires. And
Correct.
just like it doesn't make sense for someone to just send them to, to do dumbbell training if their nutrition is poor and if their sleep is bad. It's the same thing, with marketing strategy when, everything
Correct.
has to be aligned. Like the website
Correct.
has to work, but then also the CRM and taking care of the leads has to work. And yeah, so the
Yeah.
whole thing has to be taken care of. And I think
Yes.
this is where we have the common ground, where we look at the big picture
Correct.
and don't simply just, do one thing and ignore
Yeah.
all the other relevant parts.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
good. So what we do on this podcast is we do a time travel.
All right.
We
Wow.
travel back like 10 years in time when Riad was 10 years old,
Okay.
roughly.
And then we need to travel 40 years.
Oh, look at you,
Yeah.
huh? Well,
Yeah.
okay, you're in good shape, man. Yeah, but
Thank
yeah,
you. Thank
so
you.
you are the professional being
I
in good
have all
shape.
the tools here to be, and
Yeah,
the
exactly.
techniques.
Who else would look good 50 if not
Yeah,
you?
exactly.
Cool. But yeah, I mean, yeah, then it's even 40 years to cover. So let's look at 10-year-old Riyad. Where was he
Okay.
living? What was he doing? What was he thinking?
Okay. I would say maybe, Danu, you let me know how much of time, which version I should tell.
Yeah, we can just go. Just go and then we see. I mean, I
Okay.
still have 30 minutes to go here. Yeah.
Okay. Okay. All right. Yeah. Okay. 10 years old. 10 years old. I was most probably on a Friday like today. I have left school, and I'm maybe pouring concrete together in oil containers and putting steel rods in between to create my own dumbbells, barbells,
What?
even a bench. Yes, yeah.
You were
Uh,
building your own gym 10 years old? Are you serious?
Yes, yeah. I was with the two friends of mine, one diseased and the other one is still healthy. Um, we were pouring concrete in oil canisters or all oil containers, and we created. I remember them. If I would see them, I would recognize them. So, dumbbells. I think they must be because we had just one weight. I think they must be something like 10 kg or 12, 13, something like this. Two dumbbells, and then one
Hmm.
barbell, bigger, maybe around 30, something like this. And then a bench made of wood. We painted it white and so on and so forth. And yeah, so
Where
yeah.
was that? Where was that?
Okay, so I was born in Algeria. I left Algeria with 20 and went to Germany to study. So it was in
It
Algeria,
was in
yes.
Algeria. Oh, it was
Exactly. I
Algeria.
was in
And how
Algeria.
does a 10-year-old kid come across the idea to create dumbbells out of concrete?
Sincerely, I was always into sports. I was always like wanting to look good, to build muscle mass, to be strong. I think my heroes back then was like Rocky Balboa and
Oh, all right.
Bruce Lee and
Mm,
Arnold and so on and so forth. And
there you go.
yeah, and you see those monsters with all their muscles,
Hmm.
etc. So yeah, I was influenced by those people, and
Hmm.
so I was into uh, shadow boxing or punching bags, whatever, alone or
Hmm.
yeah, again, so strength training. I remember. I was also, but with 10 I started playing handball in a club,
Hmm.
played from 10 to 15. So I was always active. Even before that, when I was young in Algeria, any boy would just with 5, 4, 5, 6 start going out and playing soccer outside and waiting for the cars to pass by in order to play again. So every kid will do this. No? So every
Yeah,
day,
we didn't play on mobile phones, right? Those days.
yeah, exactly,
We would do
exactly.
stuff outside the house. Yeah,
Yeah,
true.
yeah, yeah,
Well, I didn't
absolutely.
know that, man. I didn't know that 10 years old you were already into like
Yes.
exercise and building your own dumbbells and all that. That's crazy.
Yeah, yeah, you
And
see,
then you, yeah,
yeah. Sorry, just to interrupt you.
yeah.
And now you know me better through your podcast.
I know, dude. I tell you, I get to know stuff about people by having them on my podcast, even
Yeah,
though we are friends for a long time. But
yeah,
sometimes we just don't talk about this,
yeah,
and
yeah,
it's a whole different level of getting to know people. Yeah, that's why I enjoy
yeah,
it so much.
yeah, 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 yeah.
So what happened then? So you built your own dumbbells. You had your own private gym already, like age 10, and then you were exercising, and what happened next?
Yeah, I was exercising. Was I remember, for example, at school, I was so crazy. So I would go 3, 4, 5 times during the class, especially when the class is boring. I would go out, pretending going to the toilet, and then go doing my push-ups. And then it was
No
always like
shit.
a push-up challenge. I would go from 10 to 15. I remember the record I had was 81. So
81 push-ups at
81
one
push-ups
time,
in
being
a
it
row,
as a
in a row.
teenager.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Holy
And
cow, you are so far ahead of me, man. I mean, I created this Facebook group like 100 push-ups a day like a year ago or something, because I'm also like a big fan of push-ups and stuff.
yeah, yeah,
Yeah, now I feel like I'm really late with this stuff. You did this like
yeah,
as a teenager. You went
yeah, yeah,
outside the
yeah,
class
yeah,
to practice push-ups.
yeah.
Wow.
Absolutely,
Okay.
absolutely.
Okay.
Yeah,
All
yeah,
right. So yeah,
yeah,
so you were a very active young boy, and you were
yeah.
going to school. And then what was your plan after school? What was your first idea to do? What was your idea of life after school?
hmm Um, I have to admit, I was back then. Thinking about studying in Germany already, even with the young age. Yeah, because my brother was married to a German, and they would come with their family. So German is something as a language I always heard. I haven't spoken just few words, but it's something which I always was like hearing. So it was very easy for me when I went to Germany to learn German and speak it accent free. My focus was always to go to Germany and study, but I wasn't sure about what to study. So I remember 1992, I finished my school and was planning to go to Germany to study, but then somehow paperwork didn't work well for that one year. Then I had to stay in Algeria. I studied one year, and I was very unsure about what direction I should go for. Sports back then, that was my passion, but I had always the feeling sports it's not something like a real profession where you can
Yeah.
raise a family and so on and so forth. It was always like for me something which you could do as a hobby, but not as a
Yeah.
main
Mm,
profession. So I was a little bit
mm,
scared to go that route.
mhm.
And then my notes were quite well. So combination also of fear from seeing blood. So I could not, for example, imagine myself studying medicine. So I
Mm,
was scared from that. So I said, okay, it needs to be something technical. And back then it was the boom of IT. I remember one guy in a city where I was living with 50,000 people, only one guy owned a personal computer in
mm.
1992. So it was like having
Oh.
a rocket at home, no? So
Mhm.
yeah. So this like gave me like a motivation. Said, okay, maybe I should go for IT, not knowing really what IT was. No? So I did one year in Algeria, and it was more like physics, chemistry, and so on. Nothing with IT. We haven't seen a computer or keyboard or mouse even. in the first year. And then with 20, I migrated to Germany. And then I went for the lecture, literally 30 minutes throughout the lecture. I wanted to do push-ups again. So I,
Let me guess, it was boring a bit.
yes, it was. It was so dry. I thought to myself, "My God, those people." So, sorry. Yeah. So
Mhm.
I know you
Yeah,
are
yeah,
Algerian.
yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah, yeah, no
but it
problem. Yeah.
but
It's
it
your
was
story,
something
man.
which I could not really relate to, not at all. So I went out. Must be due to the lecturer and his way of giving
Maybe,
the
yeah.
stuff was too dry. So I went out, and then I met a friend of mine, German lady, who just finished studying energetics and process engineering. And then I talked with her, and she said, "Oh, Riyad, look, you are from Algeria and so on. Algeria has oil and gas, whether you stay in Europe, whether you go to Algeria. So with process engineering, so you have so many doors, so many industries, so many opportunities to work on, and that gave me that security. Okay, so I don't have to decide now. I just decide for process engineering, and then later on I can go for oil and gas. I can go for pharmaceutics. I can go for whatever you have. Let's say production lines that were a process engineers always asked. Yeah. So I did that studied energetics and process engineering in Berlin, Technical
Mhm.
University of Berlin. Was always doing my sports. So again, in Algeria was lifting, fitness, and handball. Then in Algeria started with basketball. Then in Germany continued with playing basketball for the uni. Then discovered martial arts, Shotokan karate. When I met one guy and I saw him doing Shotokan karate, it was very impressive. So I started following him and learning from him. Yeah, and then when I started working as an engineer for the nuclear industry in Germany.
So one second. So you actually completed your studies as a process engineer,
Correct.
and the next step for you was to start, engage in the working world and the business world as a nuclear engineer. From
Correct.
just
Correct.
right after that. All right. Okay.
Correct. Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, and then it was tough to start as a nuclear engineer. So the nuclear industry is an industry or technology which is, of course, very, very complex, very precise. No room for innovation, no room for having new
Failure.
ideas or failure, for mistakes. So quite complex. Um, yeah, it took me a few years, of course, to prove to myself and my line managers, etc., that I can do the job. Especially with those, I always say, giant German engineers with their work ethic and so on and so forth. I had to learn this as well. Yeah, and then 2012. Okay, 2010, the change or shift started to happen. So I remember I was in Finland working uh, for the nuclear industry, construction of a nuclear power plant in Finland, Olkiluoto, and we had to do a medical checkup. And that medical checkup included blood work. My LDL cholesterol was 3 times more than the absolute maximum a human being should have.
Oh, oh,
Yeah.
wow.
So
So
that
it
that
was surprising that you were still alive.
Exactly. So I was like, the doctors could not understand. Said, "What are you eating? What are you doing?" I said, I'm healthy. I'm doing sports. I'm not storing any fat. I'm lean." So they could not understand why I had such a high LDL. And back then, I didn't know what I know now, that LDL is not necessarily harmful. So the myth of saying good on and bad cholesterol is absolutely wrong. But unfortunately, the medical world needs always like 20, 25 years of exposure to new finding to start rejecting those myths and reorientate. So in 70s, 80s, we were diabolizing fat to be the devil. Now we talk about sugar, and 20 years we will talk eventually about toxins. Yeah. So anyway, long story short, this motivated me to start looking to my health, back to training, because I did the break when I started with nuclear. Was in a small town and so on and so forth. It was very tough for me, and then I was also focusing on my work. Um, yeah, so then I started to train again regularly. Yeah, and I remember
While
it
you were
was.
still working as a nuclear engineer.
Yes,
So
correct. Yeah,
okay, yeah.
exactly. I remember 2012. I did the move then from Finland to UK, also nuclear, working on pre-engineering works or preparation for the Hinkley Point C nuclear power station. And I remember it was a search on Google. I was Googling. It was before Ramadan, and always before Ramadan, I freak out. I don't know what to do in terms of nutrition, in terms of training. How can you train if you are fasting and dry fasting and so on? How would you optimize everything and so on? So I would like start Googling and looking for good literature, but every year it was a disaster. It was very difficult. Now, so I was trying to test like my own protocols, etc. Um, but that one year, I think it was 2012, that one year, uh, I found all the articles which I used to find years earlier. They are all like copies of each other's, except one. One article was very, very, yeah, so interestingly written. And I started following that person who wrote that article. I read all his blog. And on his blog, he was always referring to a mentor. He was always referring to, and Charles did this, Charles said this, Charles rejected this, and so on and so forth. He said, what the hell, who is this Charles, right?
Mhm.
So I started Googling for this Charles. I said, okay, it's Charles Poliquin. Who is that? Charles Poliquin. Charles Poliquin is the most successful strength and conditioning coach ever. Who has
Mhm.
produced in 28 different sports gold medalists and world record holders, and etc. etc. So I started following Charles Poliquin online, learning from him, and then I like the way he uh, teaches, he talks. He's very precise, very short and very precise. And then you feel like, wow, this is coming from 45 years of knowledge of people, or guy who really produce results. Very, very dense, very practical knowledge. So I fell in love with that knowledge, and I decided then one day, I said, okay, so I should go on a seminar with Charles Poliquin. So I went.
You guys were in the same location. You were like both in the UK at that time, or what?
No, no. Charles was back then in the US. He's French Canadian, I think, from
Oh,
Ottawa. Yeah, but
oh.
he was living in Colorado Springs, if I'm not mistaken. And back then, 2012, 2013, he was about, it was a little bit in fight, family fight, etc., divorce, and then he has sold his ex company, the Poliquin Group. And then he started a known company from scratch called Strength Sensei. And I started following him then when he started Strength Sensei. I remember he started his Facebook groups like from scratch. I was one of the first ones, maybe under 10 people who started following
Mm,
him. And then
mm.
after like after a year, there were like 200,000 people following him.
Oh,
So yeah, he increased, he boosted his because of his name and knowledge, etc.
mm.
He started a new website, new business, everything new. So that's the time where I decided then to go on a seminar with Charles. It was in Dubai, 2014.
Oh,
Yeah. So, and once I was there and saw that guy live, everything started to change for me. So yeah, it's like you are in a desert, and you have been looking for that source of knowledge or water since years, and you find it. And sincerely, I have been asking myself what to do since I was 18. Yeah, if I found such a mentor, such a guidance early enough, I would have shifted much earlier. But again, so everything happens for a reason. So now I'm doing it. But then I decided, okay, I'm going to invest whatever money I can save and time with back then 3 kids to
Oh.
no, sorry, 2 kids. So back then, to learn from Charles. So at the beginning, it was the first 2 seminars were only basically for my own knowledge, for my own health, for health of my friends, family, and so on. But then after the second seminar, I could not neglect it anymore. I said, okay, this knowledge is it's not a knowledge which you should just keep it for yourself. It's a knowledge, highest end knowledge, which has produced many hundreds, thousands of again, world records and Olympic medalists. So I have to use this. It's a sin if I just keep it for myself. So then I decided basically to start looking to shifting my careers. Yeah. After doing all the seminars with Charles, I was following him. I was following him in Canada, in Hong Kong, in Asia, in Australia, in Dubai, and so on and so forth, or in UK. Wherever he was, I would follow him and basically absolved or did all the seminars with him, all the certifications with him. That's basically a third of my certificates, which I have from him.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
All right,
Yeah.
all right.
Yeah. I need more walls. Yeah. So, and then I started, of course, one thing was critical for me. When I started learning from someone who is so powerful with his knowledge, even if you trust the source, because his results speak for himself, he doesn't have to speak. Still is so powerful that usually you would, me as a small guy, new into the strength and conditioning, you would not be able to, for example, deviate too much or come up with the new ideas. So you get sucked into this source of knowledge because it's so powerful, very, very hard to argue with. Yeah, and I found myself in a situation where I felt like I'm just repeating whatever he says, and this is a situation I disliked. I didn't like the fact that I didn't have my own opinion. Who am I to rethink or rediscuss his knowledge? No? So then back then I went to him and said, okay, Charles, I have this issue. I respect that. I'm very happy to know what I know now, but I would like to expand my knowledge. So I would like to, you give me few names of people you would like me to learn from. And then he gave me about 5, 6 names. And then I also researched myself and created like a list of 9 people. And then started traveling again and learning. All my holidays were spent basically on learning from those people. Yeah.
All this time you were still working as a nuclear
Yes,
engineer.
correct. Correct.
Okay.
Yeah. It started when I was in the UK, 2013, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18. Yeah. 18, I started then working for opening up the PHP clinic. Yeah, where I stopped. Basically, the focus was to open up the business. Yeah, so people, for example, Stuart McGill was the number one in terms of spine stability. He's a Canadian guy, written many books, did his own research on spine. Wherever people have spine issues, they would go to see him. Then Christian Maurice. Christian Maurice is also a Canadian guy. He's into functional medicine and also training of fast coaching, fast transformations for example, for actors. Then André Benoit. André Benoit was the right arm of Charles, education manager when he was in his former company, the Poliquin Group. Great guy, also unbelievably knowledgeable. And then his way of teaching very different than Charles's way. So and many others like John Meadows for hypertrophy, Milos Sarcev also for hypertrophy, and others as well. So and then once I started learning from others, I started developing my own way. As soon as I started going from 1D to 2D to 3D, like it became like a matrix of tools, of techniques, of hacks, etc., which helped me then to coach my clients very individually. Yeah, depending on the needs. Yeah.
Wow. And this clinic today that where you're speaking from right now, when did you open it?
Okay, yeah. So I did the shift from China. So from UK 2015, I went on another expatriation for 4 years in China. Was commissioning of 2 nuclear power plants, and then 2019, September 2019, I came to Kuala Lumpur. I took over a running business which was not doing very well. I took them over. Within 3 months, we broke even. And then COVID started in February, March, right? So we had to close down, and then I took the time of COVID to finish my book, my manuscript, Stress Less, Sleep Better, which I have started writing in China. I took the time to take care about my family and just be more close to my kids, and recover a little bit from all the traveling for education. And then 2020, I moved my business to another place near the city center in Kuala Lumpur, where we remained open during COVID. And we're operating since then. Yeah.
Okay, nice. Well, man, that's an amazing story. So you went from creating your dumbbells age 10 to studying and becoming a nuclear engineer, traveling the world, discovering that your blood levels were like off the charts.
Yeah.
And then because you wanted to find the best nutrition for Ramadan, you found an article which eventually led you to your big guru. And this is where your performance coaching journey started actually. And now you have like also put together so many other teachings and ideas and strategies. So now you are the guru to go to if anyone wants to be not just strong, but also mentally, physically, and eventually emotionally fit, right?
Yes, essentially, we have all kinds of clients here. So we have the youngest is 7. Yeah. 7 years
7.
old.
Wow.
Yeah, 7. Yeah. So their parents are with me, with us here, and they sent her to me because of posture. So she has a postural problem. Her knees are going inside, and they want me to help her develop the helix better. My oldest is 69 years old. A British guy, ex-rugby player, broken everywhere, and he just had kidney cancer in the kidneys, and did operation, and we were very, yeah, exactly. So we were, so he, okay, so I would say why we are so different than others. We are different because we sense the weak links, and we help where help is needed. and there is no limitation for us. So, for example, this client, dear client of mine, uh, 67 when he joined me. We were working more on rehab of all his injuries, staying strong, fighting sarcopenia, fighting muscle loss, getting him more insulin sensitivity, etc. And then one day he just told me, okay, I feel like pain in my back. I should maybe back off a little bit from training. I said, okay, no, fine. Let's do a few days of break. And then the pain didn't disappear. It doesn't seem to be skeletal or muscular or whatever. It was internal. So then he went to the doctor, find out it was a cancer on his left kidney. So I felt that with this age, etc., some people would just give up, and because maybe they don't have the friends, they don't know what to do, they would start thinking, and that thinking, the stress is like destroying them, right? And then they age within few weeks or months, they age much faster, and they are never able to come back. So I told to myself, this should not happen to a client of mine. And I was like bombarding him with messages every 3 days, 4 days. I would, how are you? How are you doing? Are you walking? Yeah, please go out, walk. You cannot train, fine, but come in for infrared therapy. Will help you to relax. Take your magnesium. I was like just taking care. When he came and he did infrared therapy for a few days, and then he said, okay, I think I can maybe train. We trained him very special, very adjusted, customized sessions. He did like 3 or 4 sessions before his surgery, and this brought life back, motivation, outlook, strength into his life. And I felt it. He was much more positive, less thinking, less in let's say negative sphere or stressful sphere. He was we were talking to him positively, pulling him to do things, to exercise, to come for infrared therapy, etc. And when he went for his surgery, everything went well. Right after the surgery, as soon as he was cleared, so I was pushing him to go walk again. Then after walking, we got him as soon as he wanted to come in and started training. Now he trains and as if nothing has happened. Yeah.
This is an amazing story.
Yeah.
I think I can summarize who you actually are after hearing your story. I think the right subtitle for you would be caretaker. You're someone who really takes care of people. I mean, like in a much bigger way than most people that I know. I mean, doctors do important things, but you look up all this stuff. You look at what they eat, how they behave, how they think, how they sleep, how they exercise. I mean, you bring the whole package, and you are also a very caring person. So as you can, as we could hear just now from your story, you really care about people, and you really like treat them as if they would depend on you, and their fate and their well-being would depend on you. And I think that's a very rare character trait to have, and I really appreciate you for that, to be so caretaking and at the same time so competent in extending this care to other people. So yeah, man, I would say whoever is nearby Kuala Lumpur should come and visit Riad in his peak human performance clinic near KLCC. I think it's only a few hundred meters away. It's in Star Boulevard. I've been there a few times. We both live in KL. And those who are not in KL, they should follow you on social media. They should read your book, Sleep Less, Stress. What's the name of your book again?
Stress Less, Sleep Better. We want to sleep more.
Not the other way around. Not sleep less, no.
Sleep less, stress more. No.
All right, man. All right. I would like to thank you so much for being here with me today, sharing your story, and let's make sure that a lot of people hear of you in the near future. All right.
Sure. Thank you very much, Dano, for the invitation. Honored to being on your podcast. Thank you. Thank you.
Yes, my pleasure, man.